Seeking validation. We're living at a time where everyone's opinion seems to matter to everyone. But we forget we have all types of experts. We have those ones who have gone through school or an education system and were able to learn from that area. There are others who are life experts who have gone through the actual thing and had the experience. And then we have the other one who's neither school or half life experience, but mostly story based. They've had enough stories to build up an image. And out of that, they've been able to create scenarios that literally look so real, like they've been there, but they've not. They're just keen enough to have figured it out through different environments. And then they become the third. And all these men and women, old and young, will share their views or their opinion. However, as an audience, you have the option to filter through and figure out what is real, what is not. Because not coaches don't play, and not everyone is going through what they're saying at that time. That could be a season they went through or they witnessed. And without disclaimers, someone will pick and say, maybe this is how life is supposed to be. No. Maybe they're talking about relationships and they went through one bad, and maybe they had no issue in it. But the choices of people, the type of people they choose, had a significant effect on what happened in their life. Or maybe they did have an issue. Maybe they're honest enough to acknowledge, or maybe they are not. You see, we really don't know that. That's why we always say it's good to hear two sides of a story. And when you're always seeking validation, when you're always trying to seek approval from anyone else than looking from within, you will never figure out who you really are. You should be in a place whereby you know yourself, you know your strength, you know your weakness, you know your fears, and you are working on your areas of weakness and fears to become better. Not better for anyone, but better for yourself. Yes, there are many so-called self-help groups and everything, but sadly, many of them are very nefarious because they claim to self-help you, but they'll feed you all these books, all these junks, and all these philosophies, yet they don't do either or. However, when you sit and look at yourself and ask yourself, I'm at this point in time in my life, what can I say that I've achieved or want to achieve? And not from a competitive point of view where you're looking at another individual, whether within the same peers or a family member. No, you're looking at yourself and say, I like this. What am I doing about it? You like a particular industry. What are you doing about it? Have you researched it? Have you tried? Have you volunteered? You don't know your strength and your weakness. If you don't know who you are, you will always try to have a version of yourself in the lives of people. Whether you will seek that in a relationship or marriage or friendship, you will never get. It doesn't matter how many books you read. It doesn't matter how many sermons, how many conferences, how many seminars you go to. If you don't go and look within, it's all useless. How many people have homes, have everything, but the things they end up seeking, you question yourself. You're like, with all that money, all that education, why is their pendulum going totally off from what should have been? Because we are people by face, some children inside, and you really don't know what someone is looking for. You don't know why someone works very hard. Maybe they were from a background whereby they were pushed to be better, and so that's the only thing they know. Or they are from a traumatic point in life whereby they realize if you never have enough, you will never be enough. Or they're from another point, they're just competitive people. Or another point whereby, they have known themselves enough, so they really don't care if they hit or if they make it to whatever target, but they just do one step at a time. All these are different people achieving. You don't know your race. Everyone is doing things differently. For example, even in a simple race, you may be racing because you want to achieve that medal or goal. Fine. Someone else is doing it because, they just want to exercise and they realize, This is a new challenge for them. Another one is racing because there's something they need to prove. Another one is racing because they just want to associate with a particular individual or a clique or a clique or a community. And then there's the other person who's just there for the sake of, well, I had nothing to do. This is what came up. Boom, they're there. It's like an event. Every event has three types of people. It's built under three types of people. There's the one who finances the event. There's the one who offers their service. And there's the one who's just present. A wedding without any of the three won't work. A funeral without any of the three won't work. Any event without the three types won't work. Because look at it this way. Let's say it's totally financed, but you finance everything, but no one shows up. Is it an event? Fine. You fail to finance, but people show up. So how are they going to eat? Or the service is offered, but there's no one to be there. You need all three to make it. And that's why there are places you go where there's someone who's a good storyteller. And you need that person in that kind of situation, because they know how to entertain people, whether the stories are real, whether the stories are fake. You just need them there. Because if they're not there, then people will be bored and find a way to go somewhere. So every event has the three types. You just need to figure out where you fall. Are you the one offering the finances? Are you the one who's comfortable offering a service? Or are you the one who's like, well, I'm here, so what do we do? So if in life you're always trying to seek validation, you're always going to get disappointments. I mean, social media, we are seeing this at a very alarming rate, where people are forgetting what is called privacy anymore. Couples' conversations have become online conversations, private couple conversations. Now everybody is to give their ideas. And I'm thinking, when you two guys met, you're together. So there's no privacy in how people handle their relationship. There is no privacy in parenting. There is no privacy even in bedroom affairs. Everything validation. So what happens? All these people whom you are bringing in, you are bringing all types of characters. You are bringing good people and evil people. You are bringing all kinds of shady. There was a time people would we used to be told, don't allow strangers in your home. Social media has said, hey, here is my bedroom. Hey, here is my child. Oh, here is my inner garments. Here is my... I'm like, oh God, how did we reach here? Always seeking validation. Someone will say, I'm in a very happy relationship, happy marriage. But the types of photos they are showing out there, it makes you question, huh? Are they really? Or are they looking for someone? Because at the end of the day, if you are showing you are desperate or you are looking for validation, you will get a crowd for that. The only problem is, what type of crowd will you get? If you dress in a particular type of way, whether it's a man is just shirtless just to be seen your whole body, six-pack or whatever, a lady, you want people to be able to see, your figure and say and thirst over it, you're going to attract people of a particular character. Doesn't mean that the type that should have been, but you're already showing what you want. Who wants what's important for them to be everywhere? Everyone wants their own things, their own privacy. Eventually, you want to have something that's you want to be able to look and say, I want to keep. No one wants everything to be seen out there. But here we are, where everything is out there. And when someone gets disappointed, they say, oh, these people are insecure, oh, these people have too many rules. Doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you're the one who put yourself out there. So it matters where deal with the consequences that come with it. So when it comes to validation, be honest with yourself. Are you doing it for you? Or are you doing it for the other people? And if you're doing it for other people, you're going to be disappointed. Always going to be disappointed. Do something for yourself for once. for once. You can say, well, as a mother, I'm only doing for the kids. When those kids grow up, you think they'll care. Maybe one or two will remember you, but they'll move on. They'll move on to their relationship. So that spouse you have, that's the person you'll have to look at for the rest of your life. And that's when reality kicks in. When you say you want to get into a relationship, the truth is a part of you and a part of this other individual have to merge. Now, the problem comes with what kind of life do those people live, because you two be exchanging spirits way. And that's why some people, even apart from just even thinking about the soul ties, which is very important, but at the end of the day, you find there are people who are together, even if they're not intimate, because they've been so close to each other. You cannot separate to figure out who is who. They're speaking the same, they're talking the same. It's like, even you don't need to overthink it. Just go to meet someone and they're speaking a particular type of language, even slang. You may not be vibing with it in the beginning, but as time progresses, in a week, you start saying words the other person was saying, and you didn't need to do much. You just need to be in the environment, because the fact is your environment affects you. So if you're in a relationship, whatever environment you are in, that person being part of that environment will affect you. If it's work, it will affect you. And that's why you'll find there are people who want to always seek validation also within the corporate world. They always want to speak in, the most fluent, the most ABCD. But when they leave that office, they're just another regular person, but they don't want to show that. They want to, their ego up there. But the people around them, the people who know them from home, they're thinking, this is a different character from the character you guys are talking about at work. Because they want to be seen with maybe the CEO, with the this, with the that. They want to be seen, and if you ask them, so why are you doing what you're doing? They can't answer you. Because you need to be in a place in life where you really don't care what people say or do. If you are working, you get your job, do your job, hit your targets, go. When people start asking you personal questions, you're like, I came to work. I didn't come to open the floodgates of my personal life. And those are the realities, because your colleague is not your friend. Those are facts. You're just in a similar environment that needs you to communicate. They're not your friend. Chances are 3/4 of the time, they are there to ride over whoever is above so that they can sit on the top. And if that means to pretend to be your friend so that they can know what type of information to use against you, if they need to go up the ladder, they will use it. How many times do you see top leaders or supervisors or CEOs or whoever it may be on a top ladder would fail to promote a particular individual who they are always seen talking together, because this CEO or this top person is thinking, I want a performer, I don't want a slanderer or a gossiper. And that's why the gossiper or the slanderer will always be put at bay and given some types of benefits, but not like that's what their worth is. The problem with always seeking validation from the world or from any other person than looking at yourself internally is you will never know the truth. And you'll be given a version that is not you. It's like when you hear someone talk about you and you get wind of that information, and then you're thinking, have you ever heard of someone talk about you or hear of a conversation or a rumor about you, until even scratching your head, you're thinking, even I am even surprised of me, because that is not me, but interesting. But that's not me. But you keep moving. Because people will always talk. If you're quiet, they will talk. If you don't do anything, they'll talk. If you're always seeking validation from the world, disappointments will be there. The world will tell you, jump from the roof, leave that person, do this. Misery loves company. Someone will tell you to leave your partner because they are ABCD, yet they are holding theirs. Yeah, they are serving there because it's social media, you don't really know what's on the other side. You can be sharing a clip or a video on a particular area, but you are doing other things. Because, your video could be 5 minutes or less or more. The other type, what are you doing? And that's why I always say you don't know people. When you meet people, whether it's digitally, whether it's physically, after everyone goes home, you really don't know. Because someone may be going home, but inside their home, they have another office, another like industry, something below. Others are going to intelligence agencies. But we all meet, put on this dress, this attire for whatever reason, and we all meet and we all smile and all speak this particular. It's like we are robotics. If you are working or in a particular industry, there is what you're supposed to say or do in that industry that will fit in that industry. There's a word you will use that someone else will be able to say, that's my person. Others, some symbolism within their attire, someone will say, this is my person. That does not mean you vibe in the same way. No. But every environment has an unconditional rule, unspoken rule of how that environment works. If you are a leader, there are things a leader should do. If you are a servant, there are things a servant does. If you're in the corporate world, there is a way that you're supposed to behave and things you're supposed to do. If you're in the political arena, there are things that you do in the political arena. If you are a religious leader, there are things that you do in that field of religious leadership. If you're in a particular profession, there is a language, there is a culture of that area. If you go to another country, there's not only the language, but there's the culture and also the unspoken rule of that country. Everywhere there's something, but that does not mean it's the person. It's just to fit in, you have to adopt to what is in that environment to fit in. If you go to a place where they are English speaking and you go speak from another language and you're not trying to make any effort to speak the language of that land, you're not making an effort. You're just assuming because I came with my language, they should understand. No, you're going to get conflict. However, if you show interest to want to learn their language, then you have no conflict. Because you can't come from, it's like someone coming into your house and telling you where to put things in your house. And they just came day one. They were invited, or maybe you invited them or they invited themselves. And they've come and they're telling, no, you should put this there, you should put it there. They're thinking, who are you? One, you don't even have a close relationship for you to even start taking rules from someone. That's the danger about validation. That is actually validation from people. When you think about it, it's like allowing people to come into your home, into a private space, and them telling you, you should not sleep on this bed, you should sleep on the floor. In fact, you sleep on the kitchen. And then that's you saying, oh, that makes a lot of sense. No, it does not make sense. Just because someone tells you it's green does not mean it's green. It could be a mixture of colors. Just because they told you it's an orange, it could mean many things. It could mean a color, it could mean a fruit. Just because people say it doesn't mean it makes sense. People can come up with terms. It is like this, it is like that. Doesn't mean it is. Doesn't mean that everything that looks legal is ideally legal. Something, just because everything feels good doesn't mean it's good. You should always learn to question. Always ask yourself, what is it I'm getting myself involved in? Because at the end of the day, how sad it is if you find yourself mixed up in things you should never have been mixed up in. So validation is dangerous because hence comes peer pressure. And peer pressure will lie to you that everything you are doing is right and it's wrong. Peer pressure is on every level. Be strong enough to know who you are. Be wise enough to be able to accept that life isn't the way it is. And be honest with yourself that yes, you are human, you're going to make lapses of judgment. But every day you are learning. But every time you're always seeking validation from the world will disappoint you. The world will tell you how to raise your child, yet the person has never had a child. The world will tell you how to have a home, marriage, yet the person who's telling you has never had a successful relationship. The world will tell you how this business is ABCD, but they've never been on the ground. Someone who's never had an experience of something will only give you a mixture of ideas here and there, and maybe they'll fit in, then boom, wow, it works. But that doesn't mean that it will work the second time. It was just ideas popping. How many times do you come up with an amazing idea and it pops, and you try and do it the second time and it flips on you? Just because it worked the first time doesn't mean to work the second time. Just because someone's career moved like this doesn't mean your career will move like that. You may be somewhere and you work on something, and someone from very far sees a potential and picks you up, while another person had to be in that environment for such a long time for people to even to notice them. So if you're always seeking validation from the world, you're going to be disappointed, you're going to be angry, you will be bitter, and you never learn to appreciate who you are as a person. God created you for a reason. There's a purpose for you. And the only way you know is if you draw closer to Him, and He will guide you. But just like a plane, the farther it is, the distance it is from you. The closer it is, the bigger you see it. The farther you separate yourself with God, the farther you see He is from you. The closer you draw Him to your life, the bigger you see Him. At the end of the day, if you're always seeking validation, you will always be disappointed, you will be angry, you will be bitter, and misery loves company. And that does not mean those who are around you are in agreement with you. But if you start working on yourself, taking care of yourself, being able to understand this is my strength and this is my weakness, then you will never really care what people say. Whether they validate or they'll validate, it really doesn't matter. You know your worth, you keep going. But if you don't know your worth, if you don't know your value, if you don't know who you're meant to be, then your insecurities will rob you of everything. And in the process, you will always be seeking validation and you will always be disappointed. Each one of us has something special to bring at the table. Each one of us has something unique. Not everyone can be a king. A king needs a servant. And not everyone can be a servant. Not everyone can go and till the land and produce food. Others manage it. Each one of us has something unique. Even all parts of your body, the eyes, the nose, each one has a specific role. And if one of them decides not to function, it literally affects the whole chain. So we are all have something unique and we affect the whole chain, whether we like it or not. So seeking validation from the world in whatever area it may be will not give you what you're looking for. You will only go down a rabbit hole of getting into things and compromises you should never have gotten into. You will indulge in things you should never have indulged into. You will compromise your dignity and your life for a society that will never care. Love yourself enough to say, this I'm not getting involved in. Love yourself enough to say, I'm not seeking validation from the world. This is me, my strength and my weakness, and I'm working on areas that are my weaknesses, and I'm appreciating my strength. Not because you're special than the world, but the fact is, you are who you are and you're unique. 100 years from now, no one will know who you are. Maybe there'll be a good story about you, or maybe there'll be none. So the question is, once you understand that in a eulogy, they only say the day you came, the day you left, and a very short synopsis. Is your life just worth a eulogy paper, a one leaf? You are better than that. So have a story. Be the one to write your page, your story, your autobiography. And that has to be the life that you choose to live. So stop seeking validation from the world. Figure it out from yourself. Let God be the one to guide you. Because the world will tell you what the world wants to tell you. And in this time and age, the world will tell you anything. Doesn't mean it's right. If you do not have your moral standards, if you do not have your ethical standards, if you do not have a conscience, you will compromise and will indulge in things that will destroy you internally and externally, and even all those around you. Love yourself enough to say, this I will take, this I'll drop. Love yourself enough to say, I'm not going to be part of a toxic environment. Love yourself enough to say, I will handle this. I'll only handle what I can bite and chew. And whatever is beyond you, leave it alone. You are not born to be a hero. Even heroes have an expiry date. So, who do you think you can please? The world You can't please anyone. So love yourself enough to know this is my limit and I'm not stretching it. May God guide us all, because every day we are in this learning phase. A journey, we do not know where we are going, but by His grace, by the grace of God, we will reach there. May God guide us all.